I want to introduce somebody that is an incredible guy, a great thinker, and a wonderful author. He wrote the book Adventures in Legal Land, a real eye-opener. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't read it, you can get your own copy over at marcstevens.net. That's Marc with a C, marcstevens.net. He's also the host of the No State Project, which I believe is going to be relaunching on the air here sometime this month.
21st.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Marc Stevens.
I just want to thank everyone with the Liberty Summit, especially Chris Lawless, for bringing me here. I appreciate that and making it all possible. Thanks to everyone who supported my work so far, and my wife, of course. So, you can imagine, though, how many people wanted to hear there was no such thing as a citizen or state. This really shook people. And it was bad enough when they first realized that there was no obligation to pay taxes. Now they hear that they're not citizens. Anyone here still think they're a citizen? I'm looking over here. Come on, you can put your hands up. Most people didn't want to hear it, especially someone like this Patriot Guru, because he was making his money selling $600 packages to file an oath of office as a citizen. About this time, a friend of mine, I went to his house and he had a copy. He had run through a photocopy of a book by a man named Lysander Spooner. No treason, the Constitution has no authority. Now I thought that at some point in time the government got corrupt and they just didn't want to protect us anymore. So the whole thing collapsed in on its head. And then I read that. I couldn't believe it. I already knew there were no state and citizens, that here was somebody else, because everyone else I had talked to thought I was insane. Even clients thought I was helping win cases. I had somebody who didn't call me for 6 months. I said, how you been? He basically said, I couldn't stand you. You tore my reality out and didn't replace it with anything. So people weren't happy. Imagine I helped get traffic cases or a tax case thrown out and you're pissed off at me. But they say in science, let the data speak, whatever the data say. And that's what the data said. It's all an illusion. But the first part in particular blew me away. Not just because it was somebody finally saying something that I had come upon in a unique way, but it was the simplicity and how devastating it was. I'm going to read it again. And this is from Lysander Spooner's The Constitution of No Authority. Is there anybody here who's not read this essay? All right.
Your homework tonight.
You're about to hate me. The Constitution has no inherent authority or obligation. It has no authority or obligation at all, unless as a contract between man and man. And it does not so much as even purport to be a contract between persons now existing. It purports at most to be only a contract between persons living 80 years ago. It was written in 1869. It can be supposed to have been a contract then only between persons who had already come to years of discretion, so as to be competent to make reasonable and obligatory contracts. Furthermore, we know historically that only a small portion, even of the people then existing, were consulted on the subject or asked or permitted to express either their consent or dissent in any formal manner. That would include Canadians, by the way. Those persons, if any, who did give their consent formally are all dead now. They're long dead now. Most of them have been dead 40, 50, 60, 70 years. And the Constitution, so far as it was their contract, died with them. They had no natural power or right to make it obligatory upon their children. It is not only plainly impossible in the nature of things that they could bind their posterity, but they did not even attempt to bind them. That is to say, the instrument does not purport to be an agreement between anybody but, quote, the people, end quote, then existing. Nor does it either expressly or impliedly assert any right, power, or disposition on their part to bind anybody but themselves. Let us see. Its language is, and you'll recognize this, we the people of the United States, that is, the people then existing in the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. It is plain in the first place that this language, as an agreement, purports to be only what it most really was, a contract between the people then existing, and of necessity, binding as a contract only upon those then existing. In the second place, the language neither expresses nor implies that they had any intention or desire, nor that they imagined they had any right or power to bind their posterity to live under it. It does not say that that posterity will, shall, or must live under it. It only says, in effect, that their hopes and motives in adopting it were that it might prove useful to their posterity as well as to themselves by promoting their union, safety, tranquility, and liberty. I know we all ask ourselves the same thing when we hear that the first time. My gosh, it's so damn simple. How in the hell did this get past me? And he makes it even clearer as he goes through. He gives an example of someone building a house. I am building this house for me and my posterity. That doesn't mean his grandchildren have to live in it. It seems so simple when you take it in a different context. And I have gone through, I can't tell you how many times I've had to deal with IRS agents. And you ask them point blank, what is the Constitution? And they know that's the supreme law of the land. Does anyone agree with that?
No.
Why?
That's just a legal opinion.
It's just an opinion. I didn't ask you for an opinion. I just want to know what it is. I don't care what it says. Tell me what it is. If I say, what is a table? And you say, it's got a blue thing, skirt on it. It doesn't tell me what table is. So when I ask what the Constitution is, and you'd be amazed, in the 13 years or so I've done it, not one agent has ever known what the Constitution is.
It's a goddamn piece of paper.
Thank you. It's not just a piece of paper, sir. It is 4. It is 4 pieces of paper. Did anyone sign the Constitution? You're right.
No.
No. But people say, but I can see George Washington's name right on it. Yeah? Okay. In witness thereof. Is a witness a signatory to the agreement? No. So who signed as a signatory? To bind themselves. As I'm going to get into, these aren't stupid people. They knew what the Constitution meant. They knew what the implications were. They didn't sign it. So imagine an IRS agent is saying, see, what attorneys and even some forensic accountants, you can't argue that they don't have a right to tax or a right to the property, just the amount. Well, I can. I do it all the time. Well, you can't. You shouldn't. Well, why not? The whole basis of the power to tax is these 4 damn pieces of paper. I think it's pretty important. Try to get a judge to take judicial notice. The Constitution is a 4 piece of paper. Anyone know the name Susan Ilston? Stanley Hilton was suing the Bush administration. You ever remember about 9/11, the Mariana case? Okay. Stanley Hilton was an attorney with Bob Dole, and he was suing on behalf of a woman named Mariana, whose husband died in 9/11. And they put the suit was thrown out by Susan Ilston. Susan Ilston, I personally I was in front of and ran off the bench when I asked for judicial notice. The Constitution was a written instrument. I actually had a certified copy in my hand. Pretty tough to prove someone has a tax liability when it's all based on 4 pieces of paper no one bothered to sign. Who looks like the crazy one now? I've got these papers. Okay, good for you. I have them too. I'm not trying to take your house because I have papers. But why does this go past us? Why do we not realize it's just a damn piece of paper? And the reason is because there are people who have spent a lot of money and time and energy making sure that our minds are filled with so much damn junk that even when you're exposed to a truth like that, you'll fight against it emotionally. You can ask Stefan Molyneux. He knows this very well. You've experienced it probably more than I have. I've done hundreds of radio shows, although Free Talk Live I enjoy the most. But Free Talk Live is not a mainstream show, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean you don't have mainstream ideas being espoused by the host. And even though you can get a host to agree, well, a citizen is what? A member of the body politic owing a duty of allegiance. And you can lay it out, and they'll agree every single point. But when you give them the conclusion that there are no citizens in states, oh, now all the fire and brimstone comes out. Then they gaslight you. And they have to, they got to cut the interview short.